The following program is underwritten by the Nevada Irrigation District. Since 1921, providing clean and healthy drinking and irrigation water to more than 24,000 homes, farms, schools, and businesses in Nevada and Placer counties.
This is NCTV Interviews, and today we're going to be learning about Loma Rica Ranch. You've heard a lot about it, and now you're going to find out more. So I want to introduce to you Nell Scannon, who is Vice President of Outreach and Communication, and Phil Carville, who is President and CEO of Carville Sierra. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here, and your produce as well. We'll be learning more about what's happening at the ranch. Lots of great things. So Phil, would you please give us a sense of history of where the development was and where it is now in terms of a little bit about the background, what was the Loma Rica Ranch prior and what it is to become?
Well, this isn't a 3-hour show, so I would love to talk about all the history of the ranch, but essentially the ranch was initially formed and assembled by Errol McBoyle, who was one of the owners of the principal owner of the Idaho Maryland mine. And when that mine hit it big, Mr. McBoyle became a very rich person. He owned thousands of acres around Grass Valley. He was instrumental in making this area one of the largest pear orchards in the world. And Loma Rica Airport was his private airport.
So he was a bit of a visionary, really.
Incredible visionary. He was also the benefactor of the miners' clinic. He was the guy who funded the first hospital in our area for the miners. Anyway, he became very wealthy as a function of his mining operation. And he's sort of a Renaissance Thomas Jefferson type guy. He got into horses. He's into vegetables, heirloom apples, and all that kind of stuff. But he got into draft horses, and then he went into thoroughbred horses. And that ranch, Loma Rica Ranch, was his private domain. It's incredible, and people on the out there, we invite you to come by and see the ranch. It's open 5 days a week, and you can come up and see the lake, or you can come down and see the farm, and we'll be happy to show people around. But for the past 70 years, it's been private property, and most people in Grass Valley don't even know about it. I was talking to Hank Perillo the other day, and he walked into the ranch, and he's lived here 25 years. He's a realtor, and he says, "What is this place?" He had never seen it. So it's a spectacular property, incredible property, a lot of history on it, beautiful artwork, stonework, all of which was done.
About how large, acre-wise?
It's 450 acres.
So it's big.
It's big.
And it is unique in the sense that it sits quite close to the Brunswick area.
It shares almost a mile of common property boundary with the city of Grass Valley. It is on Grass Valley's plan for annexation. The city is here. They want to annex the Loma Rica Ranch because the ultimate goal is also to annex the airport. So we're on the way to the airport, and the infrastructure that we put in will help save taxpayers money. So we will in effect sewer the airport for the city and provide a lot of other infrastructure up to the airport, which most people don't know is on septics right now.
So as we move from the McBoyles into what has become the Loma Rica Ranch development, how did this come about?
Well, it's very interesting. There were several developers in the past 20 years who wanted to do the typical lot and block subdivision. That is, just carve the place up into lots and leave. But about 6 years ago, when this property was purchased, and it was purchased by one of the Getty trusts, the Getty Oil.
The Getty.
The Getty, yeah. There was a bunch of Getty kids, and this is one of the trusts. But it's a trust, not a foundation, so it has to make money. But they're very patient, and they didn't do it to make a profit per se. What they did was, you know, they own property, stocks, everything all over the world. It's a very wealthy trust. But what they wanted to do is they wanted to put a model development on the ground for the Sierra, because a lot of people in that trust, particularly one of the major trustees, is a very dedicated environmentalist and wants to make sure that, or we're hoping to make sure, that we can put a development on the ground in the Sierra that will help preserve the Sierra, and we can go into that later. But there's a lot of growth slated for the Sierra. If we have this traditional lot and block subdivision that we see in Roseville, 4,000 beige homes for one income type, that will destroy the foothills. It will destroy all the charming towns in the foothills, some of which have already been destroyed, not Grass Valley or Nevada City. So we're trying to put together a dense, clustered, walkable, mixed-use community that will serve as a model as to how we can grow in the future without encouraging rural sprawl. It's a very exciting project to me.
One of the things that attracted me to the Loma Rica development is that as a school teacher, I've taught in a lot of different settings, large schools and small schools, and I sort of equate it to working in a very large school, which doesn't work very well as a teacher, but they've developed in many of the schools, schools within schools.
Yes.
And in a sense, Loma Rica strikes me as a town within a town.
We would call it a village within a town, or actually what Loma Rica is this 4 distinct little neighborhoods, each of which is built on a quarter-mile radius, so it's walkable, each of which has its own distinct character, and each of which is different. So if you want to get into that a little later, we can talk about that. But I guess the main thing that citizens in Grass Valley may want to know is that of the 450 acres, over 300 acres is open space. Trails, riparian areas, picnic areas, tot parks, regional parks, all just a whole mix of different types of open space. So the actual development goes on 4 little clusters over a 20-year period, and it's a way to preserve open space and prevent rural sprawl.
It's planning for it, whereas a lot of what happens these days is a lack of planning. It's just kind of a outgrowth of homes in 5-acre parcels, 2-acre parcels that just happen, and this is a planned community. How do you avoid it becoming, pardon the expression, but this is what comes to mind, a theme park?
Well, a theme park is planned all at once. I think this is my definition.
All right, we're ad-libbing here.
Yeah, planned all at once, and dropped in all at once, and usually a theme park has got one common ownership, and things are structured out. I do know how the Magic Kingdom was done in Florida, and they built the whole damn thing on plywood tables, and they had little pop-ups, so you could actually, it was before computer animation, they were just a little big enough for your head, and you would pop up and you would photograph the main street here, and you would photograph that street down there, and the whole thing was built about 7/8 scale. So this Loma Rica is different. How did the miners prevent Grass Valley from becoming a theme park? It developed organically. It serviced real needs. It was built over a period of time. Some things that didn't work were torn down and changed. Some uses that didn't work changed. A bar changed into a flower shop, changed into a hotel, and then changed into a residence.
So will there be a way in which people who reside, who develop these neighborhoods, will there be a sense of this participation in order to help shape and design as things continue over time?
Yeah, Six Flags or whatever theme park you're thinking of is one ownership designed to present an entertainment experience to somebody. That's not what Loma Rica is. Loma Rica will be owned by 700, 800, 900 people in various ways. Maybe a little empty nester family owns a condominium or a flat over the village square. Somebody else might own a retail store. Somebody else might own some other service. Somebody might own a small apartment building with 8 apartments in it and rent them out. So it's that diversity and the eclectic nature and the diverse ownership. Yeah.
Well, maybe we should take a look at some of what has helped to contribute to the design and overall thinking of Loma Rica, because a lot of people haven't as yet seen.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to look at pictures, or you want to look at?
Take a look.
Okay. Well, we just brought a few pictures, not to represent Loma Rica, but to demonstrate some concepts. And this is a Grass Valley house, but what's important about it is that this house was not built by Lennar Homes or Centex. It was built by a couple of carpenters and a family probably that wanted a home. And you can see the relationship, how it's built a little bit off the ground. This is very important for us, how it has a front porch, how the house tends to face forward. You don't see three-car garage there. And you see the relationship to the street. All these things are very important to develop the social network and the context, and to make the street a public room. Like when I grew up in San Francisco, the street was where we played. It was a public room. But over the past 105 years since I've been born, things have changed.
Right. It's
you know?
actually, the homes have taken a back seat to the streets.
Yeah. So maybe we have another shot here.
Let's go on. It'll just take a moment.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the porches is that it comes close to the street, and it makes the people on the sidewalk and the people sitting in the porch actually have quite social context, and it builds the fabric of the relationship. This is another example of how the streetscape of a home can relate so well to the street. Again, you see a porch. This is a wraparound porch. This is a larger house than the former one. This is 2 stories, and it again has a relationship with the street, and it's part of the social fabric of the entire town.
And part of the development, we can go on, but part of the development is there'll be single-family homes, there'll be duplexes, there'll be condos.
Exactly. Yes. Well, we skipped over one, but this is just a shot of Grass Valley. And the interesting thing I wanted to point out here was that now you see the buildings coming up to the street. This is the downtown area where, you know, it's retail or other commercial activities on the bottom floor, and then residential on the second floor. This is the way towns used to function. It was a very active place, and it was vibrant, and basically we were all pedestrians. And I think that's a very important point. What we're trying to do is diminish the dependence on the automobile.
Nowadays, that makes a lot of sense. And
Particularly, speaking of automobiles,
yeah.
we're a very thrifty group. This is an old International that was on the property that we took all the dings out of and painted it up, and it's an authentic 1959 International. Most people probably in the audience...
Four-wheel drive.
Yeah, four-wheel drive.
So is it on display, or do you use it?
No, we use it. We make our, as you'll find out later on, we have an organic farm. We make deliveries in that. Well, this is, you asked earlier about how these things are put together and not theme parks. This is what we did. This is a picture of one of the multiple charrettes we've had. We've had probably over 25 or 30 public meetings where we've invited the public in, and they participate in the actual design. And those are a couple of architects there, but there are other people in the room, and we have sessions on transportation, building design, street network, safety, etc. And we get the public involved. This one probably was in 2003, one of our first charrettes.
So when did you start the process, and how long has it been, you know?
The property was purchased in August of 2002, and it's been way too long. It's been 6 years.
6 years in development, and where are you now in the process?
We are just entering the EIR phase, which means that the city will hire an EIR consultant, we'll pay for it, but they hire the consultant is under their control. Over the next 6 or 7 months, the EIR would be put together, and then the public can comment on it, and the real impacts are known.
EIR is Environmental Impact Report.
And once the EIR is out, there'll be public comment. Well, we can talk about that after we talk about the garden.
Sure.
This is the front of our organic farm that Phil just mentioned, and the farm is the centerpiece for the development, and it really it focuses us on the sustainability of the project. It was the first thing that we were allowed to do, and so we just launched off and did it. And every year we do seasonal displays for the holidays, and this is last Easter.
And so when you say the first thing you were permitted, I guess it's been a gradual process of more and more things coming online.
And this is one of the school groups that we had out to the farm not that long ago. And the farm is meant to be an educational resource. It's meant to get kids involved in growing things in dirt and find out what a potato plant really looks like. And it's great to have them out. They always have just the most fabulous time. You
know, that's something I've noticed, is that there's a lot of interface between the community and Loma Rica. There are a lot of events that happen that indicate that that's the direction you want the development to go.
It is, yeah.
Just more kids. And this is our gazebo. Our farm stand is open now. It's actually been open since May, and it closes in November. And the gazebo is there if anyone wants to come and buy produce and hang out and enjoy their produce or just enjoy the view. We're certainly welcome to do so.
So as the farm is open to the public, what about the ranch itself and, let's say, the pond, which we don't have a picture of, or the lake?
We, of course, we have guests in, and people, you know, it's locked at night because it's basically our office. And there was a certain liability in just letting people in there without, you know, there's a lake and people could drown or swim and stuff. So basically it's the farm that's open at this point in time, and then our offices are open.
Okay.
This is the front of the historic barns that Errol McBoyle built. And we've repainted and restored the facade, and we're going to use the barns. We're going to adaptively reuse them. We're not exactly sure in what capacity yet, but we sort of have gotten the process going. This is just a view of the barns from down below on the farm. You can see some of the peach trees and the nectarine trees and the hoop house off to the left.
And it looked like you have quite a large orchard.
Mm-hmm. We do. We probably have close to 600 fruit trees in the ground. This is some lavender. It's just a pretty picture.
And is this a garden that residents will be able to participate in, or is this strictly commercial?
This is mostly commercial. We have it available for field trips and schools to come out for hands-on experience, but the project will have community gardens, and those will be available for all the residents. This is our newest addition.
I love this one.
It's our chicken tractor for our free-range chickens, and it is really wonderful. You have to come out and see it. These are all endangered species of chickens, and they all are very full of personality.
So the idea behind this, for all you people who want to become chicken farmers, is that at night the chickens roost in the building, and then the building can be moved wherever grass, woodland, wherever the chickens want to scratch. So they're always getting, you know, good stuff, organic stuff from, you know, the creatures and insects around, and they're safe at night, which
Yes.
is really a concern.
Mm-hmm.
And more people are developing local farms.
Yes.
Yeah.
With chickens on the run.
These are some of our onions in the farm stand. And some herbs and green beans also in the farm stand. I took these pictures last week.
So this is, and also flowers, the flowers here.
Flowers and berries and cucumbers, squash. We grow just about anything that will grow in Nevada County.
And that's a pretty ambitious, I mean, as farms go, this is one of the larger ones.
It is.
I'd say. This is our Harvest Festival from last October. These are some kids in the pumpkin patch. And the 2008 Harvest Festival is October 11th from 11 to 6. And lots of free games and activities, and it's just so great. It gets bigger and bigger every year, and it's a benefit this year for Big Brothers Big Sisters and Child Advocates of Nevada County.
So be sure to attend.
This is another picture from last year. This is on our hay fort. This is our greenhouse. This is before our plant sale. We're getting all the plants to size before we sell them, and the plant sale just went so great. The community was it was wonderful, the support that we got. This is Noor. He's the champion thoroughbred that was living on the farm. He actually retired to Loma Rica Ranch later in his life. He's buried in the racetrack. He's the holder of several world records.
And will it continue as a horse ranch of sorts?
It will, actually. Recently, that's one of our big announcements, is that in addition to the organic farm, we're going to have a horse park in that same farm complex. It'll be open to the public. We'll have trails, indoor, outdoor arenas. It'll be a large, beautiful facility. This is a group from Sierra Nevada Children's Services. It just came out with some moms and some kids to enjoy the farm. They toured around and saw the animals. We have horses and burros on the property as well, and I heard the horses were a big hit. This is our strawberry patch, which is gigantic. It actually produces usually all the way until November. We have these amazing strawberries that just don't stop.
So do you pick them, or can people also come and pick?
You can arrange to come and pick them if you want to do a field trip. Sometimes we do that, but normally it's just our crews. They go out earlier in the morning when it's still cool and pick around 6:30 or 7. This is another field trip. And these kids ran harry-carry everywhere. This is another field display, our Valentine's Day display, and we have lights that go on at night too.
This is this is a picture of Pearl Street in Boulder, Colorado, and I just used it to illustrate how active a street can be when you have activities on the first floor, you know, commercial restaurants, coffee shops, bakeries, bookstores, salons, whatever. And on the second floor, you either have, you know, commercial uses such as lawyers, doctors, graphic artists, computer companies, or residences. And so, this is one of the things we plan on putting in the village center is these little fountain here. Just kids seem to go crazy over these things. So that will be in the little village center,
And
one
moms.
of those fountains. And moms love it. And this is another just demonstration of people will walk if you give them a destination and a beautiful place in which to enjoy and relax. And
It's such an inviting place. What about people wanting to come and, you know, enjoy the day there? Additional parking? How do you absorb that?
well, parking is a really interesting issue. If you ever wanted to have a series on zoning, traffic, car use, parking, it's incredible. We use the Park Once philosophy, which is the philosophy used in downtown Grass Valley. Everything's close enough so that you can actually park once and go to 5 or 6 places. And it takes too long to tell you the way the parking codes work now, but they're absolutely inane, insane, and I don't see how they are ever done.
So you're going to somehow manage to work with that?
Yes, yeah. We've got great parking experts. Yeah.
Well, I'm particularly interested. I mean, it sounds like it's almost too good to be true. I mean, this sounds like, you know, Fantasyland in a sense, but not, you know, not
Yeah.
a theme park. I'm wondering, there have been some criticisms raised, you know, primarily housing density or traffic. How do you address those?
If the people really understood land planning and so on, the two biggest things that are in our benefit are traffic and density. It almost sounds too good to be true, and if this were the first one in the world, I would say maybe it isn't true. But this has been done hundreds of times around the country, and it's been done thousands of times in Europe. And what we do is we go out and spend $10,000 to take a trip to go to someplace in France or Italy, to go to a little French town with crappy parking and difficult traffic, and we love it. And then we come back to our own country and we build Rosevilles. And the reason is that our development codes are backward and inane, and you know, most of us hate development, and probably most people in the audience hate development. The reason we hate development is that it isn't human scale and it doesn't work for us. And why doesn't it work for us is because we get what our development codes force us to have. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the city of Grass Valley, and they do understand that, and people around the country understand now, is that what we have, the way we develop now is an unsustainable model. It's an unsustainable model. We have commuting out, suburbs, huge traffic times, $4 gas, neighborhoods where there's no social connection, neighborhoods where everything is a garage door. And so we're trying to go back to the simplicity and the rationality and the common sense that existed when Grass Valley was built and when Nevada City was built.
A sense of neighborhood, the kind of thing that you could still find in San Francisco, where you can walk around, even though it's a big city,
Yeah.
lots and lots of little neighborhoods where you can
Exactly.
get everything you need.
Yeah, I grew up in one of those.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are your plans from this point on? I mean, where are the environmental impact report? Oh, here we go. Back to some photos.
Oh, This is an example of what's called a bungalow court. Lou, you mentioned earlier about the diversity of housing types and the diversity of income levels within a neighborhood. And what our uniform zoning has tended to give us is, you know, monolithic subdivisions where all the houses are relatively the same size and all the people look the same, pretty much. They have same demographics, the same incomes. What we're doing at Loma Rica is mixing up, that was a bungalow court, a little teeny, you know, 600 or 800 square foot homes on a little green court with really parking in the back. This is an example of a small little park, just a little park inside of a neighborhood. And it's these little parks where moms, this type of park would be no more than 200 feet from most houses, so that moms in their baby carriages can push the little kids down.
So this is multi-generational. You want to encourage a wide age span of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. And that's why there's so many different housing types. This is an example of Florida. This, you asked earlier, it was this fantasy. Well, no, it's been done hundreds of times. This actually is a development in Florida that started out 1989, and it's absolutely phenomenal. It's so successful that has tended to attract more wealthy people. This is an example of just the eclectic little paths that should exist, and this is the diversity of housing types. So I know we're getting towards the end, we can't go through many more, but it's the diversity of housing types which is so important. Here's an example of a well-designed street where there's parking on the street to slow cars down, there's a planted verge strip, there's a sidewalk, and then there's, you know, that's all constitutes the public space. And that's just another example of a home that has a front porch and its relationship to the street.
Variety of home styles.
Yeah. This is quite cool. We will have several townhouses mixed in there, and the diversity of housing types, these are some of the most popular homes that exist in a place called Prospect Newtown in Denver, outside of Denver.
So what you've done is sort of pick and chose the best of what is being done throughout the world,
yeah,
and brought it here to our community. It's about time for our show to wrap up. The EIR will be coming out soon, and the public is invited to read it, discuss it, participate.
Knock on our doors, ask us questions, come by the farm stand.
And come and visit. I want to thank you, Phil and Nell, for being here, being a good sport, and I want to invite people to continue to watch NCTV, become a member, support what is your community. And so, again, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.